what's the word, brother?
Ain't nothing too much, man.
They just got finished calling me mid for about 30 minutes.
Nobody, you
mid.
took it personally. I said we're mid.
We sit here. We're sitting here.
We're a team.
No,
I don't know
when
your criticism.
We've been going for 2 months.
We're sitting on a backlog of 5 episodes.
And you want to come out? You want to come outside with just clips, ammo, like throw it out, ease me in.
Listen,
this was me. Throw it out. This guy. Hold on.
Listen. Close out. What you got?
He brings in. He listens to one podcast, and I asked him. I said, Jay, have you listened? Jay, have you listened to our podcast? Well, Steve Bartlett does this.
That's our podcast.
If it's not fire, don't keep it.
I don't care
Anyway,
so hold on, real quick.
No,
we had
you don't believe it. Oh, go ahead.
No, all right. So we'll get into the episode. We'll have a little 30 seconds of a rant because y'all
30 seconds of a rant.
Listen.
Then I got no name number 2, whose mic doesn't even working right now. After no name number 1 just disappeared, so we had a whole segment on a guy. This guy comes in.
Let's start it off right there.
I'm just telling my story how I want to tell my story, Jay. Because y'all got me hot. Y'all telling me delete the content. This ain't it. Okay, so I'm going to give y'all Are you ready to pod?
I'm ready to pod.
Because I was rusty. Okay,
He's rusty.
So now we're going to throw those away.
Yes.
And we're going to pod. Are we recording?
Are we live?
Okay, so listen. What I'm saying is, we had a guy come in here, wanted to learn the game of podcasting. Great dude, referral from a good person. I won't take these type of referrals from her no more, but she's really good at her job. We called this guy no name number 1 because just in case this person doesn't come back, man, woman, or however you identify, doesn't come back, we wanted to say, we're going to keep calling people no name until they earn a name. So no name number 1, that episode will never be released. So we have 3 episodes that we've shot last that won't released because they were mid because someone's decided for the first time during the holiday season, who's had a little bit of time, that they
I was gonna actually work on our craft of being a podcast.
That they
my
wanted to
co-host
watch
is mad.
podcasts for the first daggum time.
My co-host is mad that I'm taking it serious to a whole nother level, and I started doing actual product research. Started watching other podcasts. I started analyzing, studying, and we had a lot of strategy meetings.
Months,
we had a lot of strategy
podcasts.
Now
he wants to watch podcasts.
We've had a lot of meetings the last 2 months while we had our little hiatus. Like maybe we didn't talk about. We know that we've been gone for maybe about 2 months or so. Where have we been? We'll talk about that. But we've been trying to get better. We've had some changes internally in terms of people that work for us and work with us. New and old, we appreciate them.
Shout out to everyone that did work with us. They were absolutely phenomenal.
Absolutely.
We just had to make more. We just had to make different changes.
Yeah.
Pivots in certain things that were going on. We had to pivot, not because of talent, not because of work ethic. It was just
where we were.
It was just where we were and where we had to go during that point in time. But the rest in peace to the old episodes that we just shot and that won't come out. Anyway.
Trevor feels some type of way.
No, I don't feel any type of way. I just feel as if certain people watch podcasts and say, "Well, now we need to be
better."
X, Y,
God
Z.
forbid.
We've always been pretty good at this here. We will say we've been gone for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. We
had to make some changes. Where have you been? Well, it's welcome back now. We had to. We had to be intentional about where we were going, you're right? Instead of just doing things to do things. And doing things that we used to do that were cool, but that aren't as cool anymore. Intentional movement, intentional focus, and understanding where
you're trying to go.
A lot of times when you start a company, you need to have your exit plan ready before you even understand how you're going to start. How am I leaving this? What's the exit look like?
Because I'm going to tell you how to move during the process.
It's almost like reverse engineering from the end, from the end point. So that's what we had to do. We had a lot of hard conversations and we had a lot of long meetings and diagrams. legitimate diagrams about where we wanted to be,
masterminds and interviews.
In 2-3 years from now,
strategy.
we wanted to know where we were going during that point in time. So it's that intentionality of it all. Now, for the audience. So what I tried to do is I tried to ease our way into the new year, right? Just, okay, we're coming back February 1st, 6 a.m. We're going to put this out on all DSPs. YouTube will come out a little later. So I said, let's break this down. We'll have one episode, Where You Been. We'll have one episode, Power of Intentionality. We'll tell them about No Name number 1 that just disappeared. Now, No Name number 2 is going to talk. But his XLR cable, I know what you guys are saying, the XLR cable again, new year, new me. No, we don't believe in that. Although, come Monday, because it's not February 1st yet, we shot this, it's going to come out on February 1st. I am going on a no drinking fast. Well, no hard liquor fast.
Y'all heard him, right? Y'all heard him? Okay.
No, it's true. It's a no liquor fast.
One thing I'll tell you about Trev, though, when he locks in to do something, he's going to do it.
Yeah, listen, I the holidays were good to me, brother.
That was a good time.
So I might have overindulged a tad.
Okay. Tell people the truth.
Spaces. That's why they say the camera adds 10 pounds. Might add 20. But I'm gonna be okay. So I'm gonna chill out a little bit. I'm gonna stop eating all the buffalo chicken dips. I'm still it's playoff time, Super Bowl. Around the time the podcast comes out, the Super Bowl will be like 3 days later, something like that. But I'm locked in, I'm focused. But we just decided to be more intentional with the podcast. And for us, intentionality is
the theme of this year a little bit.
Well, for me, it's communication.
Okay.
I don't communicate worth a daggum, and a lot of people in my life will tell me that. But in terms of business-wise, the follow-ups need to be a little quicker. The outreaches need to be a little bit more frequent in that volume. The just the overall way I maintain
a relationship.
The relationships need to be. I need to be a little bit more engaged. It's crazy because I was talking to someone. They were like, "Well, your communication actually got better." So you were telling me I was bottom of the barrel.
Bottom tier.
But it's true. So that's really my goal is communication.
And real quick for our listeners, that's most entrepreneurs' problem. Like the whole.
You think?
No, not you think. I'm telling you, because think about what you're saying. The communication aspect. What you're also saying in a little bit of sales. Right.
Oh, that's the only reason. Because it's sales oriented in relationship. Like, so there's genuine relationships, and then there's sales. So
professional colleagues, clients, customers. Like, how do you tell a story? How do you follow up? You're trying to get a business deal. You reached out on Tuesday. They didn't respond. Are you never going to hit them up again? Or are you going to reach out the next Tuesday, and then maybe 2 Tuesdays from now, maybe send them a card or something interesting to their office, or a bottle of champagne for Christmas for their birthday, or remember something unique.
Yeah.
Like, the reason a lot of entrepreneurs fail is because of communication, also, i.e. because of sales, because nobody wants to get left on red.
Yeah.
Right? Or nobody wants to be that annoying person. But for us, that's the common theme of the successful and the non-successful, is that the successful is not worried about being cool. They're worried about results. And results is, I'll follow up, I'll chase you, I'll do this, I'll do that. All right. So, no, for Trev, keep going. But I wanted to highlight that for you guys, because as we talk about the growth and everything that we're going through, we want you to take.
I have the time right here. The time's right here, No Name number 2. Say hello. Can you say hello, No Name number 2?
I don't know if I can. Is it going on? What's going on, fellas? You hear us? What's going on, fellas? How we doing? Guys?
Nice to meet you, No Name number 2.
Nice to meet you.
We don't want to hear you no more.
All right, fellas. Have a good one.
That's it. If you were Russell Westbrook, what would you do?
In which regard?
What's your grade?
If I was Russell Westbrook,
I don't know why I picked Russell Westbrook. It was really random.
If
but
I was
the reason
NBA
why
player.
I picked Russell. No, Russell Westbrook.
Okay.
We're gonna use him in the clip. Hey Russ!
Yeah, appreciate
what's
you,
up,
kid.
Yeah. And I use him because he's just a real one, man.
No,
he's just a real one. And we can talk about his game all day, and I would love to, if I could, in another world, I'd just talk about sports all day long, everywhere. But in terms of everywhere Russell Westbrook goes, besides like he takes a bad shot here and there. All you hear about is the stand-up human being he is and how about it he is with his teammates and how his leadership is
high quality character. Yeah.
So that leadership was just on my mind, and this episode will be titled "Throwaway Podcast." So when we were talking about throwaway,
that's a subtle jab. He's just trying. He's mad that we had to reshoot.
Throwaway podcast. I was just I don't know why. It's like Russell Westbrook plays every game because all of a sudden you play to win every game. So I just felt like Russell Westbrook was the guy because Russell Westbrook plays to win every game. He doesn't throw away. He doesn't throw away.
He doesn't take any possessions off.
Yeah,
not
he
even
doesn't
possession.
You know, so we can't take any podcast off or set people up for future podcasts. Every podcast is amazing. So that's why I
You are you?
Westbrook. No, I'm not. Go ahead. I'm not okay.
You guys feel like Trev has something to get off his chest. You hear the subtle undertone of condescension.
But if you were, how would you advise Russell Westbrook to
even like start their year, manage money the whole nine?
So we'll start with Russ, and then we'll go with the NFL rookie.
Somebody just
drafted in the 6-7
round. Okay.
You know.
If I'm Russ, or advise, let me rephrase it. If I'm advising Russ, with the fact that Russ is worth $100+ million at this stage of his career, Russ has to segment his finances, his taxes, his business holdings into literally different verticals. First thing I'm doing is I'm creating a short-term emergency fund, which is no risk, just cash, making sure he could pay, 12 to 24 months of expenses no matter what. He has that accessible, that's liquid, that's just sitting in his bank, not earning any money. That allows us to take more risk with Russ. Outside of that, I got a short-term portfolio that's, stocks, bonds, interest rates, just earning Russ a little bit of capital. And then after I have, more importantly, for people who's worth X amount of dollars, you start getting them into hedge funds, private equity, venture capital, private deals. Like, that's where Russ is going to make a lot of his growth. Now, in terms of managing his money, he needs to have a nonprofit organization so he could defer taxes. He needs to have business entities so he could write off his business expenses and the people that he has on payroll and the trips that he may take. He needs to have a trust, a will, a power of attorney. He needs to have people that he hired, like executive directors or CEOs, to run his companies. He needs to have, because what happens now is you start to create a reoccurring system. Think about it. He's paying people anyway, right? And what I mean by he's paying, maybe he has his entourage or his family. He may take care of mom. You take care of these people. If you do it in a business format, that could be written off. Your travel could be written off. Because one thing, and I'm glad you asked this question. When I speak at different universities, schools, athletic programs, anywhere, what this generation needs to know, that whether you know it or not, you're an entrepreneur. Let me say it again. I'm gonna do the Trev, get my Trev moment. Close up, not that close. I can't. That's this child. It felt icky. It felt icky.
It haven't even edited yet.
It felt icky.
Edited it right yet. You're gonna take my whole. So that would literally be the first time. Hold on, no.
Come back.
That would have been the first time that would have been edited properly. It'd be my guy. Oh, go back. Back up. Taking my whole spiel. It
didn't feel right. I tried to. I was gonna say
that's nasty. Can we get a couple of weeks first? Okay, now keep being smart and talking about, because I don't want to get rid of it on the podcast. So keep being smart and talking about how you would make sure Mr. Westbrook.
Whether you know it or not, all our listeners, you're entrepreneurs in this day and age. Why do I say that? Because you need to have multiple streams of income. America caters to businesses, so in terms of writing off taxes, and because of this phone, this device that you guys are listening on, you're able to make money from anywhere. So that means you're able to write off anything. So whether you know it or not, you're an entrepreneur. You need to just figure out how to create that entrepreneur vertical. So if you work in a 9 to 5, maybe you have a business because you do hair, you do this, you do that. Create a little LLC for that, and then be able to write off your car, be able to write off your food for certain expenses and things like that. So I say all that to say, whether you know it or not, you're an entrepreneur. Please know. For Russie, Why would I have a business? Because whether Rusty knows it or not, he's an entrepreneur. He's a business owner. He's a founder. He pays people. Why not be able to write that off? He travels. Why not be able to write that off? He goes to business meeting. He does deals. He has to go market, endorse. He does all these things that are naturally a byproduct of his brand and his name. Write that off, right? The next part I would say is that's the biggest thing if I'm in Russ's camp. I'm making sure his nonprofit philanthropic strategy is airtight. That's going to allow him to write 1,000 things off tax-wise. I'm making sure his business structure is super, super tight because one, outside of actually generating you revenue, it should be helping you on the tax side. The next part is I'm putting together a team that actually brings in deals and brings in revenue. And I'm creating a trust, a will, power of attorney. All my legals is right. My life insurance is right. And I start to segment my money in terms of risk and then when do I need it in my life. And that'll be the, quick thing I will give to Russ.
So when you're an athlete, how does an athlete know that their advisor or their financial people, their accountants aren't stealing from them? How do they mitigate risk and constantly make sure that their money's in the right place? How do they create checks and balances within their own universe to make sure Awoy Capital isn't stealing, or Andreessen Horowitz isn't stealing, or whatever
JP Morgan
isn't stealing? How do they do that?
So first off is know who you're hiring.
Yeah.
Right. And again, this conversation isn't about athletes only. This is anybody. Check regardless of the industry you're working in. If you're making a lot of money or a small amount of money, because something happened to my mom where we realized this isn't adding up, and I had to go check things, right? Yeah. So, athletes, but everybody listening, please, first things first, don't just give people. This literally. So, quick story, real quick. I get a call from my cousin. My cousin hit me. He's like, "Listen, Jay, I need you to speak to somebody." Matt? Yeah. Cousin, yeah. Shout out to you, Matt. That's my boy. So, anyway, my cousin hit me. Long story short. He's like, Jay, I need you.
Saying it. You're a content guy now.
I know, right? I'm trying.
I said my guy because I didn't want to say his name. Yeah. You said his name.
Well, nobody's gonna know. Anyway, it's not like his last name's William. That's a fact. Either way, he's like, Jay, I need you to talk to somebody, show them love. They're going through some things with their property, and they need somebody to have a unbiased set of eyes on it. Cool. He introduced me to the person. It's an older woman in New York and Brooklyn. She owns a brownstone out there. Owned it for a long period of time. Long story short, the numbers isn't adding up. Bills aren't paid, things aren't happening, and she's like, they're about to take this home from her. She's like, I just found out 2 days ago that I get a letter in my mailbox saying that your home is up for auction, and why am I finding out that my home's up for auction, Jordan, through a mailer, and I gave responsibility to an attorney to make sure everything was taken care of, to go through a process of making sure she's able to keep her home. I'll spare you all guys the semantics. Yeah. So in this story, what did she do? She totally gave away responsibility, right? And she never looked back at that situation to vet and check on these people that she gave the responsibility to keep her home. And then 6 months later, she wakes up to a letter in her mailbox and a call from a realtor trying to buy her home in auction now.
Is it like is it almost like having a knee injury as an athlete and getting a second opinion too? Absolutely.
And what I mean by that is, so what was the point of me telling you guys that story? First things first, you need to check the people that you hire to do work. Like a lot of times we'll hire people to do work and completely outsource, and that's cool, but then we'll never check on it again. Trev said communication. How's this going? What's up? What's next? 2, Trev just said it. Get a second opinion. So now for a Russell Westbrook, for a Tom or a Joan that work at, Pizza Hut, you're doing your taxes, or an accountant, a business owner, you have this accountant doing your taxes. If you feel like something's off, get another accountant to double check it.
Yeah, like how does the Kevin Garnett thing happen?
What's the KG thing you're talking about in particular?
When he lost mad bread during,
Because you have blind faith in somebody, never check their work. Like Steve Harvey's story. If you listen to his story very, very carefully, he said, I would send a check off to them.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, I remember listening to that Steve Harvey story very well when he got in trouble for tax. He would cut a check to the accountant and never think about it again. And the mail from the IRS is getting forwarded to his accountant. At what point did you realize, let me just check and make sure my bills again. Let me just go straight to the source of the IRS.
It's unfortunate because no one's just gonna cut you a check because you're black and you're Nigerian. No one's just gonna cut you. Nah, it's fact. They always. You're black. There's going to be white financial advisors and white folk in general, and people that are more of the stereotypical financiers that are able to just get money from people because it's the norm. Yeah. But the hurdles that I've seen you personally have to deal with, based off the color of your skin and your nationality, has been vast. So people are going to. So I hear you vet the person. They're gonna vet you because of how you look.
Vetted all.
Yeah. It's just like Lamar Jackson. If you always hear us use sports analogies, get over it. Stop listening if you don't like it. It's just like
don't stop listening. We appreciate you.
Just like Lamar Jackson, when he gets drafted to the NFL, he needs to play receiver. He needs to be a pocket passer. He doesn't talk like your quarterback. He doesn't talk like he doesn't look like his hair, right? But since he's been in the NFL, he's won 80% of his games. He's developed into a hell of a precision pocket passer. He's more than just a dual threat quarterback, and he's a hell of a teammate, and he's about to be a 2-time MVP. Don't let him win a daggone. If he wins the Super Bowl, I will cry. Like no. You think I'm just because it's the equivalent to you when you're 60, because it takes so long for financial advisors and financiers to, that's the prime is like 45 to 60, So that's something we'll talk about another time. But I'll cry if this kid wins the Super Bowl because everybody said no. Every analyst, most analysts, most people said receiver or gadget guy or wildcat quarterback or whatever. Kicker. Everyone said he can't play quarterback, and why? Because he didn't look like, and not even just his skin color, because that's the main part of it, but it was the way he talked. It was his hair. It was how his vibe.
So
it was like down to the food he ate.
He got held to a higher standard.
No, it wasn't a higher standard. He got held to a lower
standard.
He got treated differently because of how he looked. He talks like the kid from Florida and looks like the kid from Florida that's usually a receiver, but he happens to be a hell of a quarterback. And with you, with being a financial advisor, you understand. This was what Drake said. I'll come back to the Drake line with me. To be far from hood, but to understand the streets. It's like you understand all different types of cultures, but they want to box you in, and people have in the past boxed you in because of your youth and how you look and how you and that's right, just cool.
But that was the hidden opportunity. Not to sound corny or cliche. That was tight.
But it was good.
But that was tight though. That was clean. That was clean. But no, all jokes aside, Trev, you watched it firsthand, and to bring it back full circle into Trev's question of how do you vet people and protect yourself from not getting
black.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be funny, but like you hold everybody to a standard. Your accountant, your financial advisor, like the hidden opportunity in that was me realizing that I can never take my craft for granted, and I can never go into a situation expecting my name and my resume to just open the doors for me. Because at the end of the day, I'm always going to be a black man from New York, where I'm from. So as far as I'm concerned, I know my work will get vetted. I know that I want you to have somebody check it. And then when for you guys listening, to make sure you never get robbed and nothing ever happens to you, again, get a second or third opinion. Don't just completely delegate. When you delegate, cool, delegate, but always check into it. When a CEO does things, he always makes sure that there's a pipeline of communication to make sure that he's able to at least get the Spark Notes version of what's happening in your life. When you go into this year and you're intentional and you're vetting people, you're trying to bring things to fruition, of course you're going to put these systems in place to go, but how do you make sure that you never take it for granted for somebody to rob you or to, take advantage of you?
Eddie Curry and Antonio Walker they've lost a lot of money during their career because they've tried to start businesses while they were playing. But obviously, if you're on the road for 8-9 months out of the year, you're probably not going to be the one running your business, right? There's going to be other people running your business while you're playing because you're not retired.
Yeah.
If you are Russell Westbrook, right? How? And you're trying to run a bit. I'm making this business up now. Actually, let's take Russ out of it. If you are Jalen Brunson and you're trying to run a business while being the point guard for the New York Knicks, right? The best point guard the Knicks have seen since Mark Jackson. How would you advise him, or would you advise him to start a business? 1, 2. If he did decide to start a business, it could be a electrical supply company, right? How would you advise him to start that business? If you even said start the business.
So, for an athlete, for anybody
in the prime,
and I'll, because I don't want to answer this question from a perspective of a Jalen Brunson. There's only one Jalen Brunson, right? Anybody who wants to start a business, the same conversation I would have with Brunson or with you guys that's listening to our podcast is, what's the goal? Like, all right, I get that you play ball. I get that you're a nurse. I get that you're a carpenter. I get that you're a marketer. But what's the goal? If the goal is to scale beyond what you're doing right now, all right, let's put a system and a business in place to help get you there. So for Brunson, if he's trying to do so, okay, cool. What's the business? What's your schedule? And how do we fit the business around your schedule for you to be able to operate and do both? Same thing for you guys listening. You're a nurse. It is. Everything's possible. It's just, what are you willing to sacrifice? It's kind of like No Name number 2. We had an amazing episode with Trev.
Oh, no, it wasn't amazing. It wasn't amazing because they got rid of the episode.
It wasn't.
No,
we're gonna wrap this episode up real quick.
Drop best. Come on in. Listen.
We're wrapping this episode up.
No, we're not going to wrap the episode up. Why we have that? We're in the middle of we're doing what they wanted us to do. Now his phone rings a couple times.
No, it has nothing to do with that.
Why are we wrapping it up?
No, just because we usually just stay under 30, that's all.
Well, so now we're in a vibe. We're in the groove.
Are we good? Listen, Trev, we're good.
We're in the groove that he wanted the podcast to get in, and now he's saying, "Oh, we're done." Why? We're in the middle of the flow state. We're in flow state. I am Kobe. Rest in peace. Freaking 40 points right now in the third quarter. And he's telling me, "Oh, we're going to wrap this up because the clock hit 30. No, we're not. Because we just threw away 2 episodes. We're going to pod because we're in flow state." Where was I?
We was talking about No Name and No Name. What were we talking about? I was laughing.
Everyone forgot. How dare you get up and walk away? That's crazy.
It was about what to do with
the mic.
We're talking about.
He's over here talking.
I don't know because it's just fucked up. It was about, we were talking about what Jalen Brunson would do, and we were talking about how anything is possible, what to do.
Yeah, what is it possible? What's your schedule?
Whatever you're willing to do.
No Name, we appreciate you, brother. That's
wild.
Yeah. No, so you were saying, is it possible? Anything's possible, right? And I brought up No Name because just like with him, he's working full time as an accountant. He's taking an exam to further his career, get to the next level. His business that he was trying to build, and he has to study for a very, very hard exam. What's the sacrifice? Well, let's look at your schedule, No Name. All right, you got to wake up at 9 a.m. You got to work till 8 p.m. Sheesh, that's a tough schedule. All right, Jalen Brunson, you got 3-4 workouts a day. You start this, but you have pockets. Yeah. You have pockets. For everybody that's listening, I don't care how busy you are. If Elon Musk could run 3-4 businesses, if Jay-Z can run 3-4 businesses, you could probably find time to go chase your North Star, your dream, your entrepreneurship. So the timing, that excuse is that's non-existent. So for anybody listening, how would I advise you to start a business? Let's find out if you want to truly start a business. Because like I said, even though everybody's an entrepreneur, not everybody's a business owner. Being an entrepreneur, I just need you to understand that you need to get multiple streams of income, and you need to leverage the fact that if you live in the United States, you have a better opportunity to manage your money, manage your taxes, and manage your financial life if you have a business entity. That's the only reason I say that. But not everybody needs to be a business owner. It's not for everybody. But Trev had a great question. If I'm talking to Brunson, all right, what's your why? What's your scheduling? And then for Brunson in particular, I'm hiring people around me to run the business. Now, how do we talk about like the KG conversation and the Steve Harvey conversation? Everybody doesn't come from the same place. If you ever notice something, these athletes, entertainers, even big CEOs, they'll have one advisor like me, and then I recommend you your accountant. I recommended you your attorney. I recommended you your CFO. I recommended your nonprofit organizer. If everybody comes from the same source, you wonder why, what's his name that had the biggest Ponzi scheme in the world? Bernie. You wonder why Bernie Madoff was able to get away with so much is because when you start looking at everybody around you and they all came from the same person, who's able to check and balance each other? Who has a difference of opinion? Everybody comes from the same school of thought. One of our great brothers, he has a great line in business. If everybody in your advisory team and everybody in your leadership circle looks or speaks a certain way, you have dead spots in your team. Yeah. Right?
By the way, you need to come on the podcast.
So, in terms of the business, we need to figure out your schedule. If you're in a position to hire people to do things you do, if you're not, you're able to do maybe joint partnerships, because people don't leverage the fact that if we both don't have a media platform and we both want to start a podcast, maybe I should find another person at my level to start a podcast with, and we could both put our efforts, whatever small resources we have, to make one bigger thing, right? And at that point, opening up a business and everything starts getting easier. So that's the first way I would advise, without going off too much of a tangent. We need to figure out the timing, the schedule. What's the why? Okay, what's your timing? What's not your timing in terms of how long you could do it for, but your timing every single day. What's your cadence? And then once you start putting together a team around you, everybody needs a team. If you have a business or if you're an entrepreneur, no entrepreneur could play a solo sport. Entrepreneurship is literally not a solo sport. So who's your advisor? Who's the people helping you sell? Who's the people coaching you? Who's the people help building your product? Who's your competition? Right? Where can you get knowledge from? Where can you steal from? Where can you do all these things from? And again, if we're going to talk about a Jalen Brunson, we're going to talk about a guy who owns Ace Hardware store. We're going to talk about a teacher that's about to retire, that wants to start their own business, maybe, giving private teaching lessons. When can you find pockets to grow? When can you find pockets to market? When can you create a synergy within your life and your business to where it happens seamless? What do I mean? I manage a lot of money. Being a financial advisor was very hard. Then after I realized, all right, not all I want to be a financial advisor, I want to be a business owner. So I quit, and then I take on more responsibility because now I have to run a business and do all the legals and deal with the SEC and deal with all this crap to run the business. Then my dumb self want to start a podcast with my brother, right? And then I made a financial literacy company. What's the key behind everything? Everything was still in the same line of finances and entrepreneurship, so it worked seamlessly. The podcast here, if you notice the way I started is Jonah Warrior, the managing partner of Warrior Capital. So no matter what, this became a marketing platform for my company. If you notice about who's one of the sponsors or the reason that we created a course, the reason that we created a podcast was to teach money. I'm a big advocate of teaching. So I try to create businesses that don't require any new effort from me, any new education from me. They all work parallel. So if I'm a teacher, why am I going to start a business on construction? Maybe I should start a business on tutoring. Doesn't require any extra work. Doesn't require something new. If I'm an athlete and I play a particular sport very well, Why am I going to start a IV medical company? Maybe you should start as a trainer. You don't need to do anything extra. Your proof of So what's my point? For your question of Jalen Brunson, it's 1,000,001 things that I'll go through in terms of advising people and doing these things. But for the small things that I want you guys to take from this episode, this pod, is that it's common themes no matter what you do. It's common themes no matter what you do that will make you a successful business owner and for you to be able to manage your time and be as efficient as possible getting to your hitting opportunity.
Way to finish that soliloquy off like Obama. Listen, man. Now that you're actually done, you finished your thoughts, and I think we're gonna use this podcast, unlike the last 17 that we no, it wouldn't even
put hands on me. I want no smoke, Trevor.
You know, I told Jordan he watched content for the first time over the vacation.
I'm a podcaster, guys.